Good morning, Jim. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Mr. Deegan.
It's a good day to be recording, as always. And it's only the two of us, but it really isn't. And we'll get to that in a minute. I know the guys are sitting around waiting to kind of be on screen and talk. But so what do we got ahead? We're just going to jump right into it. We might as well be, time is of the essence.
Well, the bigger news is we learned about technology today. So where's my... I feel like we're like, yay!
I moved my stuff. So I had to find the damn sound pad. But yes, we did.
We're becoming like smart people. So I'm actually kind of happy about that.
But not only we're becoming smart people, but we've got 3 smart people to add to the show, which is going to just totally make us look really, really. They're going to make us look smart. So I guess we might as well just jump into it, right?
That might be a reach on smart people, but oh wait, they can still hear me, can't they?
They can, and now we can see them. Everybody can see them now. So we'll get to the meat and the potatoes of the show. As you can see by the title, which may be the actual title on YouTube and Spotify or whatever changes, but it's the RUCKCast to talk about Ruckus being at WLPC, which, as we had the epiphany 20 minutes ago, we're less than 3 weeks away from the event. And so it'll start 3 weeks from this past Monday, which by the time the show airs, it'll be almost 2 weeks.
Saturday?
Well, no, it'll be 2 weeks away.
I don't know.
Yeah, if we put this out next week, it'll be 2 weeks away. Right? 2 weeks? I can't do math.
Oh, man.
It's flying. But anyways.
Why is math so hard?
I don't know. No, I'm not going to go there. So anyways, we've got with us today 3 guests. So Dayne Conner, Sean Hogston, and Chris Ross are joining us in Phoenix in a few weeks. We'll say a few weeks, couple weeks, whatever. By the time you listen to this, WLPC might even be over, in which case, sorry we missed you. So anyways, I guess we can just kind of do a round the rooms intro. And since, we'll start in the middle. We'll pick on Mr. Conner. How's that?
That works.
Hey everyone, my name is Dayne. I am the systems engineer for the PA, New Jersey, and Delaware region, and I've been with Ruckus for going on 3 years now. Overall, been in the tech industry for about 10, starting as a help desk individual and then working my way up through getting here. So worked for DoD contracting, programming, cybersecurity, networking. So kind of got into everything, but now here running wireless and wired technology.
Nice.
So I got to ask you, have you been to WLPC before?
No, I have not, but I'm very excited to be around all the professionals and geniuses of the wireless industry. So
now you know he's a first timer because he called us professionals. And
yeah. Right.
Okay, well, we'll let that one slide.
Sean's laughing because Sean's been there. He knows.
Oh, nothing but love for the people at the event. But yeah, no, we're definitely, yeah.
So I gotta tell you, the first year I went to WLPC, this just to give you an insight of the professionals that are at WLPC. I was having a conversation on Twitter, and it was during UC Kivanimi's presentation. And I was having a conversation with a lady who worked for CWMP, and she had these cool little vinyl patches, like a CWNA vinyl patch. And so we're having this conversation on Twitter while UC's presenting. And she's like, well, just come find me and I'll give it to you. And I was like, but there's so many people and I can't find you. And she's like, well, just yell out my name. And I was like, well, when should I yell out your name? And she's like, just whatever. And I was like, can I do it right now? And she said, yeah. She's like, you do it right now, then you definitely get it. So in the middle of his presentation, when he takes a breath, I stand up in the main room and I scream out her name. Her name was Charlotte. And everybody just stops and looks at me. And there's like 5 people sitting around Charlotte that just bust out laughing because they've been following this on Twitter or X, I guess. Anyway. And so I had to go back. I had to go to UC.
Twitter.
Yeah. Then it was Twitter. I had to go back to UC and explain to him and be like, I'm like, sorry, I had to do that during your presentation. I was like, but this is what was going on. And he's like, oh, I totally get it. He goes, I would have done it too. So it's, and then was that the year that was it that year or the next year when UC gave away Joel's sidekick?
That was 19.
That
was 19.
Okay, that was my second year. Joel's walking up on stage to present, and he's wearing his sidekick, and he had just started working at Ekahau like a month earlier, and he was super happy to finally get a sidekick because they were brand new. And as he's walking up, UC's like, "Oh wait, we're going to give that sidekick away." He literally takes it off his person and gives it to somebody in the crowd. And it was like the look on Joel's face when he realized that he just lost his sidekick that he had been like dying to get his hands on, because UC just gave it away in the middle of, it was, so yeah, calling us professionals.
It's a stretch for that week. Now, in fairness, for any of our bosses that are listening, we do actually do a lot of learning and working, but it's, work hard, play hard. And there's definitely a good camaraderie and it'll be fun.
About to say, it sounds like a big friend group.
It is.
So at the end, when everybody, I have a way that I've come up with to describe WLPC that I'll save until the end. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I had to get off the rails a little bit more than.
I was going to say we actually made it a little bit further into the episode than I expected. Into the recording. We were off the rails way from the beginning, but we weren't on record at that point. So up next, we've got Sean Hogston, who by his laughter at the comment, we know he's been there before. So Sean, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So, I'm Sean Hogston. I am principal SC at Ruckus. And my specialization is our edge products. So IoT, CBRS, private LTE, RWG, those kinds of things. I've been here, I think, almost 8 years now. And as far as WLPC, I was in the very beginning when Keith was floating the idea around about forming it, and went to, I think, the first 3 or 4 in a row, including the first one we did in Europe. I think was in Brussels, if I remember. Way back in the beginning, the first WLPC in Europe. So that one was pretty fun as well. But yeah, so I've been to a bunch of them here. I think I did the first 3 in the U.S., including the one where we got snowed in Texas, which was a treat when we did it the day before. I think it ended on Valentine's Day or something. So that went over real well. But yeah, so I didn't go last year. I went the year before was the last time that I'd been. So looking forward to seeing everybody again this year. And they are always fun. Yeah. Because if you don't have a good time at WLPC, it's your own fault. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean, the story I like to tell, and I actually told my RCWA class last year because everybody was new. 2017 was my first year. I didn't know anybody. I had just started kind of following people on Twitter to know some people. Wound up meeting one of the creators of the WLAN Pi on the airport shuttle from the airport to the hotel, and looked like a complete idiot when I was talking to him because I didn't realize it was him at the time. And it's one of those where I made a lot of friends. Some of them haven't come back. Some of them I stay in touch with. Some of them it's literally just like a once a year thing. There are some people on this call who I only see once a year.
Right.
But it's one of those where like that first year, like I tried to be as involved as I could be, but I didn't know everybody. I didn't have a lot of I was introverted. So I spent a lot of time. I went to the events and I went like right back and then actually slept. And since then I've made a lot more friends and made a lot more connections and found a lot more things to do, even outside of the structure that they give us. And sleep has been harder to come by every year since. And this year I'm already exhausted and we haven't even gotten there yet. So that's just, I'm going to be making a run. There we go. There's going to be a lot of this. Maybe not that flavor, but there's going to be a lot of that.
When you first started going, were they still doing the good goodie bags at the beginning?
So
in the very first couple, they actually had proper goodie bags where you got everything in the bag, and we got things like, I remember getting an Ekahau license for a year. We got Y-Spies, we got access points, we got all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, no, I missed that. That was like the first year I looked to go, I think it was 16, and I just missed it. It had closed or whatever. And that was like, I saw the swag bag and I was like, oh, I want that. That's a lot of toys. 17 was the year that they did they did 2 deep dives, and it was the last year, from my understanding, that they did that. So I got a Hack RF and the original like WLAN Pi before it was actually called a WLAN Pi, the Odroid. And so, but that was the last year as far as I can remember, and Jim's going to show it because he's got everything on those shelves that nobody else can see the way the cameras are set. But really didn't need to see that, Mr. Palmer. There you go. I think, yep.
Well, he has pants on today.
Thank God. Well, he had to get cleaned up for us.
Pants.
But so
if I wasn't wearing pants, I wouldn't have stood up.
But so that was the last time they tried to do that, because it was chaos incarnate when you've got 300 people trying to do the same thing at the same time, and you've got like 8 different skill levels, and on top of it, it was like 20 different levels of how many people brought tools and needed them and didn't bring them and needed them. And it was amazing how many people in a wireless conference did not have a cable. And for parts of that Odroid class, you needed a little even shorter Ethernet jumper and to configure it. And I would say half the conference didn't have them. So and from that point on, it was you pick what you're going to do. Some of the swag's been okay since. It's swag. I mean, it's whatever people are going to be able to get for free and give away or whatever they purchase. The interesting thing, segue before we get to our third guest, this is the 10th anniversary of WLPC. And so there's been some buzz about getting back to that kind of a bag. And really and truly, I say bag with sort of in jest, because the last couple of years we've gotten like a recycle, and I'm fine with this, for the record. I don't need any more backpacks. But they're going back to a bag, I guess, because the last couple of years we've gotten like a reusable shopping bag, which has been perfectly fine. Because the only WLPC bag I still use is the one from 17, which was like a one of those 5.9 whatever military tactical like hip bags.
511 shoulder bags.
And I use it. Honestly, I used it for the longest time. I put all of my tools in there, like my punch downs, my cable wire ties, all my cabling tools. It was really nice and handy for that. But it's falling apart. So, but I don't need bags. I've got so many bags, it's not even funny. So, with that segue, Mr. Chris, last but not least, tell us a little bit.
Round out the introduction.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, nice to see everyone. It's Chris Ross. So I'm based out of Savannah, Georgia. I've been working at Ruckus now almost 4 years, and before that, I was kind of focused 100% on hospitality for 15 plus years of my career, which I still am. So selling, designing, installing Wi-Fi, Ruckus all the way back from its little horseshoe days. If those of you remember that AP, so.
Oh, yeah.
Always loved Ruckus, so thrilled to, finally be, selling it from this side of the fence, so to speak. So, yeah, this is my first WLPC, so excited to, kind of jump in with both feet, and see how it goes.
Nice. Well, all right. So we've got everybody on. Obviously, we'll all be arriving in Phoenix in a couple weeks, give or take, depending on when people are listening to this. We'll still arrive the same day. It won't matter, but... so we've got 2 newcomers, 3 veterans, which is a nice mix. Good, healthy group. So I figure we'll do a round table. And I can actually even put Mr. Palmer on the spot too, since might as well. A simple question. What is everybody looking forward to? And since we started with Dayne the last time, we'll start with Chris. What are you looking forward to at this conference?
Yeah, so you mentioned, the WLAN Pi guy, right? And, I've had one for a couple of years now, and I just kind of tinker with it now and then. But, I signed up for the deep dive because I'm thinking, hey, I'd really like to learn how to use this thing even more. And, force myself to learn it is probably a better way, right? I mean, when you've got it sitting on your desk and you can tinker with it, but there's 100 other things you got to be doing. Sometimes you don't get to play as long as you want to. So, yeah, signed up for that deep dive, kind of looking forward to taking that. Kind of diving in a little bit more. I'll bring my own, kind of see what else it can do. A close friend of mine that I worked with at a, previous company, he helped some of the WLAN Pi guys add some, Ruckus specific feature sets to it. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, great, like how can I contribute? How can I add to the equation? So, again, just diving in a little bit further and seeing, what else it might offer and how else I might be able to play with it is kind of what I'm looking forward to.
So something that we were kind of hinting at and talking about was, it's like, oh, getting to see friends and getting to see. But the other cool thing about WLPC is there's a lot of people that you wouldn't normally run into. So like the WLAN Pi team. And the cool thing about it is, it's like the fact that you are going to WLPC is almost like, and then you want to be there is really the only bar to entry. And so like, if you have questions about anything like to do with analysis or design or any of the tools, whether it's the WLAN Pi or Ekahau or Homina or NetAlly and all of their tools, Adrian Granados, he's always there. So it's like it's so cool because if you have these questions, you just go up and you're like, hey, I have a question. And everybody's like, yeah, sure. What can I do to help you? I remember one year somebody went up to Adrian and was like, hey, I'm having a problem with Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. And he ended up fixing it and releasing a new update while he was at WLPC, and then got up on stage and was like, hey, we had this problem. We announced a new release. Go download it. And everybody's like, yeah, this is awesome. So that's one of the cool things is, yeah, you get to, and John and I think, have we both done the WLAN Pi deep dive in the past?
I have not. That's one of the deep dives that I've always wanted to take, and I've never done it. And my biggest regret not doing it was in 2021 when they did the one-time only WLAN Pi Pro.
No.
Oh,
yeah, I chose.
No. There was no 21
or 22. I'm sorry, 22. So
22.
I chose really badly. I thought that there was a VXLAN deep dive that seemed like it would be really good for me with what I was going on and dealing with the customers. And I did not do that one. And that was the most expensive. I think that was the most expensive deep dive they had ever done. And there were a couple deep dives that year that did really, really badly, small groups and really poor kits. And some of our peers were in some of those. And I wish I had done that one because I've never done that though. I've never done the WLAN Pi.
But they stopped the Pro after
I have a feeling it was. Well, they said it was. I think it was very expensive to build out, and I think they had issues getting some of the parts. So,
there's a custom board. They had a sub board, a daughter board, custom made for it, because when they announced it at that year's WLPC, they had them for sale, and they were like almost $1,000. So it's very cool, but it's huge. I have the like Odroid one, not the one that you showed, Jim, but the little square one, the
Nano
puck one. I've got one of those. That's what I had before. And then when the Pro came out, that's exactly what I have, the black one. Yep.
The Nano.
I've got the one in between that, right? The one that's, I don't even remember what it's called. What is that? The M1 now?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's like a community driven one that they did, right? You could build it yourself, I think. Let's see.
M?
Yeah, I think it was built off of like a Raspberry Pi compute board or something. Or did you order the parts?
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the R4.
Yeah,
that came.
Yeah, this is the new one. Yeah,
that came after the Pro.
I had to upgrade.
And
yeah. You could because of all the feedback I think they got because of the Pro being so expensive, they did that kind of one that was just based off of a regular Raspberry Pi board, and you could put your own USB stick in it. Yeah, I have one of those somewhere that I put together. I didn't order I need to order that cover piece for it.
The little 3D printed. It's a nice form factor. The screen.
I've used them. Yeah. I used mine quite a bit. Not always for the Wi-Fi pieces of it, but because I can plug it in somewhere and I've got zero tier running on it, so I can get remote access and things like that. So
I'll say this about ordering the parts, Sean. The guy that prints them is going to be there. And he's coming from London, so you might be able to get him to stuff it in his luggage and not pay the shipping.
That's what I was. That's what I was already going to do because I got the email from him because I'm taking the WLAN Pi one again.
Okay.
This time, and I just got the email. He gave us a list of tools we need to install and stuff. So I need to shoot him an email back and tell him to bring one of those covers, the 3D printed ones.
There you go.
I feel like this Ruckus is being sponsored by WLAN.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
So aside from your WLAN Pi deep dive, Sean, what are you looking forward to?
Just seeing everybody. I mean, the biggest thing for me is just getting together, with the community, seeing the guys that I normally see there, but also, what kind of new guys show up, right? Obviously the guys, I know Chris and Dayne from Ruckus, but there's always, new people or younger people in the community, right? That come to these things. So it's, in my opinion, it's one of the best places that you can go just to meet people in the Wi-Fi community. Right. And you've got people like me who have been there under multiple vendors. You got people like, UC who was there from Ekahau and now Hamina, and I think even in between. So that's kind of cool to kind of see those people and keep up with them. It's just, it's a great event for this field, which we don't, in my opinion, we don't have anything else like this. There's like the CMP one or whatever.
That's gone.
Our CWMP one, but it's
gone.
not. Yeah, but it
gone.
wasn't even the same.
No.
They were never the same as what WLPC was. And like the beginning one, I want to say the very first one was like in Dallas, I think, or Austin or something, but it was like 75 people. I mean, they were in the beginning, they were very small, and they just kind of slowly got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I think it's like 300 tickets or something
380
for it. Yeah. So, but those initial ones, it was only 75 people and 75 or 100 people. So they were very, very small. But even now with 300, it's still, they're still a great event.
Well, to give you an idea, one of the organizers, there's a handful of people that organize this. He put out on the Wi-Fi Pro Slack that there's 138 first-time attendees this year. So, when you talk about there was 75 to 100 people at the first one, and now there's 138 first-timers this year, that's right. Really impressive. And the same thing was in Prague. There was a lot of first-timers in Prague last October. Mm-hmm. So
it is good to see. And speaking of first-timers, Mr. Conner, what are you looking forward to, sir?
I think just like right now, just absorbing everything that I can, just the experience, the knowledge, everything, honestly. I think one of the things I'm really interested in is hearing people's lessons learned with 6 gigahertz, and it's still kind of a newer area. So it's seeing what people have experienced and learned so far in that, and where things are kind of developing client-wise and just all that. But yeah, really just absorbing everything in and having fun.
Nice. I got to ask you, Jim. So just going to the order. What are you looking forward to, big guy?
It's funny to me. It's that one. And okay, I just when I try to explain WLPC to people, the thing that I've come up with to say is I say it's like the biggest dysfunctional family reunion you've ever been to, and when it's over, you can't wait to go back. It's all about, for me, it's all about the people, right? You and I only see each other, one time a year. Phoenix is in the person. Jim and John meet up, and then in person. But it's like I only get to see these people in person at WLPC. And so that's what I look forward to. And it's funny, we were talking about it in Prague one night going to dinner. And it was like, the more involved you get with WLPC, you realize like the less of the presentations you actually get to watch. I remember like my first couple of years, I was like, sitting down front, taking notes. Like I saw every single presentation. And then in Prague, I think I saw like 10 presentations. So, because it's that one time when you get to go, you get to see people, you get to have these, you get to pull people off to the side, and have these conversations, and so that's what I'm looking forward to, is the people, if you know people's faces from the Wi-Fi community, and you get to WLPC. I told a story last year in my presentation about my first WLPC when I get to the hotel and I'm waiting to check in, and I realize that like UC Kivanimi is standing in front of me. And I'm like, holy crap, that's UC. And Sam Clements is over here on the side. And then Ryan Adsema. And then I see this other guy and I'm like, I don't know his name, but I recognize his face, and it's like, to me, it's all about the people, it's all about, seeing people that I haven't seen sometimes in a few years. It's talking with people. I got the chance, or last year I got to talk to Ryan Adsema for the first time in like 3 or 4 years. And it's just like, and you just show up and and it was at registration, and him and I just ended up standing there talking for like 20 minutes, just like we'd been talking the week before, but it'd been like 4 years since him and I had talked. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, is the people. But I want to segue over into the presentations, because I know I'm giving a presentation. And it's about Wi-Fi 7 and the R770 and some different stuff about that. And so I should probably start on that. But a couple of you other guys are giving presentations as well. So how about we run through those real quick and find out what what the topic is that you're presenting on, and we'll just hit that real quick before we wrap this up. So, Sean, I know you're presenting, and Chris, are you presenting?
I am.
I have a hard enough time tracking what I'm supposed to be doing at WLPC, let alone what others are supposed to be doing. So, and Connor, I think you're getting off lucky, because I'll tell you what, there is nothing like standing up in front of on a stage in front of 380 people, half of them which are CWNEs, and you're going to present.
Dayne,
you're going to present about something.
Dayne did it smart this year. He's just absorbing.
Yeah,
because
I think that's the
best
way to go for your first time. I think that's really the best way to go. The first time you go to WLPC is not having to do a presentation, because then you can just sit there, like you said, Jim, and see every presentation, see all of it. Chris won't get a little bit of that because he's got to do one as well. But it is, in my opinion, it's always fun. It's always a good time. I like controversy, so I like doing topics that are controversial. And I'm doing one this year on kind of like the automated frequency selection, channels, bandwidth, all that kind of stuff. So it's a short spotlight, but I think that'll be fun. It is a little unnerving though, because with WLPC, we present, and I know Chris has done this. We present in front of CEOs and executives and, high level people. That's nothing compared to presenting to a room full of people whose job is wireless. It can be a little daunting for the first timers.
The intimidating part is, to your point, and I was talking to Sam Clements about this. I was like, yeah, I can present to 300 CEOs because I can totally make stuff up, and if I say something wrong, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
But when you're standing up in front of the guy who wrote the CWNA guide, David Coleman, when he's sitting in the audience, and you're like, oh, look, there's David Coleman sitting over there. And then and Peter McKenzie, he writes the CWAP book, and he's the definitive CWAP guy. And so, and then it's like, oh, well, here's the people that make the tools, the design tools. Yeah. And so when you start talking about this stuff, these are people that will know instantaneously if you are full of it or not. I mean, that's intimidating, because it's like, as soon as you say something, it's like, if you're wrong, half of the room is going to know you're wrong. And they're going
to, but some of those people will speak up.
Well, and that's
don't always wait.
Well, that's the nice thing, right? So I think we've gotten, some of us have matured, some, I almost made Jim spit the coffee out, but that's always the fear. Like I spoke last year for the first time, and it was a train wreck. I own that it was a train wreck. I can safely say now, without a doubt, it was not the worst talk in WLPC history. That's a source of topic for a different day, but it's terrifying. And part of the battle is because, like Jim said, you're in a room with the smartest peers, and and a lot of them have social media, and some of them just don't care who they tear down. I actually did a a podcast about that. That's half the battle. Like, they don't even care if you're right or wrong. They're just like, he's an idiot. And it, like, to Sean's point, like, it's about the controversy. I mean, Jim and I talked about this, I think last episode was, you can throw out stuff at there and be like, you can walk into the room, you want to start a fight, be like 2.4 is dead, or ghost frames don't exist, or, we don't need 6 gigahertz, and just make that the hill you're going to die on. And you will definitely find somebody that will go toe to toe and debate that. And it'll be a healthy debate, probably, maybe. But you'll definitely get the debate. But I like that to Jim's point, like, you've got so many of these people in that room. Some people don't get to make it because of travel or timing and, whatever, but you get an opportunity to talk to, rub elbows with. And the beauty part is most of these people don't act as like superior and holier than thou as you might think that they would, based on the body of knowledge that they bring with them. Like you mentioned, Peter, I took Peter's class, CWAP. He's a packet analysis guru, second to none. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are as good as him that I couldn't name any off the top of my head. But he's really, really good at what he does. And he's very, very humble, and he's very, very giving of his time. I mean, I asked him questions ad nauseum after I took his class before I passed the test, which took me a few times, but he didn't care. It was because at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of the community, which is really one of the underlying principles of the whole event. But anyways, that's my little tangent.
So Chris,
the
what
funny
are you presenting?
thing was, if you want to spark some controversy, when you see Keith, just use the word WAP instead of AP to Keith.
That's going to trick. I don't even have to get to Keith. That drives me nuts. I'm not talking about a rap song. We're not going to do that.
Right.
It's like, so I'm gonna talk about the most important spectrum that we have available to us, which is 2.4 gigahertz. You might have heard of it. Yeah, like you said, right? We'll come out of the gates firing, right? Everybody wants to talk about 6 gigahertz. No, I'm going to talk about IoT on 2.4. So we'll kind of shift the conversation, not necessarily backwards, but just talking about how to integrate smart devices in the enterprise space, and how we might be able to handle some of these benefits that 6 gigahertz brings, but ignore all that and just, worry about what's still remaining on all these legacy 2.4 devices and how we can hopefully make them a little bit smarter.
I mean, I think it'll be a good talk, because at the end of the day, everybody's been focused on 6 gigahertz for so long since it became a thing. And I joke about the 2.4 is dead comment, but there were people that were like, I'm just not using 2.4 anymore. And there were other people, and I was sort of lumped into that by myself. Yeah. Why give up? Like, we have at that point, we didn't know we were getting 6 gigahertz. And so this is going back a few years, but at the end of the day, you have a finite amount of spectrum. And we've proven as Wi-Fi professionals that we can and will abuse any spectrum that they give to us. So why am I going to sit there and say, I've got 3 non-overlapping channels and 11 if you're just doing it completely wrong? That's, again, different topic for a different day, but you've got 2.4, use it for something, even if, like, whether it's IoT or guests. And the reality is you've got so many legacy devices that in some cases only can talk on 2.4. So why would you shut them off? So it's,
and I would argue that
you have to continue using it. You have to be smart about it.
I would argue that 6 gigahertz actually is a rebirth of 2.4, because it now offers us, with 6 gigahertz, and we can take all these clients off of 5 that we really care about. And if we can get them onto 6, that then relieves a lot of burden that we have on 5 gigahertz, which means that we can now allow more people onto 5 gigahertz, which means that now what are we using into what, now all of a sudden it's like 2.4 is kind of this leftover. So I think your topic's really kind of interesting and fascinating, because we can then take all of this stuff that, is, I mean, let's be honest, for most IoT stuff, if it takes an extra second to get their frame sent out, I mean, you're only going to notice, 1 second. But with all the other critical applications that we care about that are very low latency, it's like we can't use 2.4 for that. But now that we have all this spectrum at 5 and 6, and we can balance this load out, it makes the other spectrum much more usable and functional. By having the critical devices move to 6 gigahertz means that we can now better balance. And now 2.4, all of a sudden, I look at 2.4 and go, man, we can really now use the spectrum for what it maybe was really intended for way back in the day when we talk about it's the ISM band. We can get back to doing industrial scientific stuff at 2.4 that, it was really intended to be used for. So I'm actually kind of excited about all that. But again, that's an argument.
Yeah, it'll get back to the point where 2.4 is not as saturated as it is today, and we can actually use it.
Well, even if it's,
I think it's going to work really, really well.
Even if it remains saturated, it's. And again, we did talk about this in the last 10 Things episode. Wi-Fi was always meant to work, just work. It wasn't meant to work high speed. It wasn't meant to do high throughput. That was never its original intent. Maybe somebody thought about it way back when it got cooked up, but you look back at the originals and it was never like that. And I know Keith has said this and others have said this in classes. People come and complain to you, oh, I'm only getting like a 1.5 meg, but it's working. It's not as fast as you want, but it's working. And so the beauty part is for those devices, IoT, the sensors, the industrial stuff, the carts on wheels in the hospitals, a lot of that stuff doesn't need the high throughput, the high bandwidth, the high demand. It just needs consistently good, reliable. And, at the end of the day, some of it could be a little bit cheaper because it's old tech, and that's fine. And if you leave that for those and you put the higher stuff in the newer stuff, then I think we're, like Jim said, this could really kind of, it's an exciting time for Wi-Fi. Let's just put it that way. Like you've got 6 gigahertz, you've got Wi-Fi 7 that's basically coming. It's out. We've already started shipping the R770. I'm sure we'll have more announcements as the year progresses, as will everybody else. It's a really exciting time, and it's basically going to make us all relearn how Wi-Fi is going to be done, because 7 is, I think, dramatically different than anything we've touched. So, yeah. But I think we've covered pretty much every topic. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I forgot. This is Jim's favorite topic. So he loves Wi-Fi 7. We should have made you a shirt. Damn.
Ask me about Wi-Fi 7.
That too. So anyways, I think on that note, I think we've kind of beaten the dead horse. So I guess anybody that's listening, anybody that's watching, just wanted to close out with this. All 5 of us are going to be in Phoenix. I'll be there the entire run of the event from Friday of the deep dive registration, or I'm sorry, boot camp registration. I will never not mix that up, and Joel does it too, so I'm okay with that. So I'll be there from Friday. Jim will get in on Sunday. I think the rest of you arrive on Monday. So anybody that's a Ruckus customer, a fan of the podcast, wants to meet anybody that works at Ruckus, you've got questions, please find us out. We will definitely have Ruckus shirts on pretty much the entire event. We'll have new podcast stickers. I have a Ruckus shirt for every day. I have some cases I have 2 shirts. So it's I can't help it. My wife hates the shirts. They don't iron very well, but oh well. So we've got stickers, we've got swag. We'll have a vendor event on Wednesday night, which will be really exciting. We'll have more details about that coming out in the future. So stay tuned for that. There will be giveaways. We do have a nice AP to give away, at least. So yeah, it'll be an exciting conference. So I have nothing else. Jim, you got any parting thoughts?
No. Any last words from the guests before we wrap this up?
Nope. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing everyone in Phoenix.
Well, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for coming on and taking time out of your day to hang out with us. And with that, we'll send it to the music and we'll call it a day. See you guys on the next one.
See you guys later.
If you want to contact the show directly, you can email us using the address ruccast@comscope.com. To learn more about Ruckus products and services that we may have talked about on this or any other podcast, please check the links in the About section of the show.